When Clara checked into the Briarwood Inn, she had only one thing on her mind: rest. The small town of Elmsbury wasn't on her itinerary, but a thunderstorm had forced her to abandon the highway and find shelter for the night. The innkeeper, a thin elderly woman with clouded eyes and a distant voice, handed Clara the key with a simple warning. Room 207's heat can be finicky, and don't mind the mirror. Clara raised an eyebrow. The mirror? The woman just waved her off. Old thing. Been there since the inn was built. Some guests say it reflects things wrong. Odd, but Clara was too tired to question it. She climbed the stairs, the floorboards groaning under her steps. Room 207 sat at the end of a narrow hall, the number hanging crookedly from the door. The room was modest, a bed with a faded quilt, a wooden dresser, a nightstand with a dusty lamp, and across from the bed, an enormous antique mirror framed in dark oak. She unpacked quickly and collapsed onto the bed, intending only to rest her eyes. But sleep didn't come easily. The wind howled outside, rattling the window panes. And though the room was warm enough, Clara couldn't shake a chill creeping down her spine. She turned over and faced the mirror. That's when she saw it. A figure, pale and still, standing in the reflection near the foot of her bed. Clara sat up with a gasp, heart hammering. She looked around. No one. The room was empty. She turned back to the mirror. Nothing now, just her own startled face and the edge of the bed behind her. "Get a grip," she muttered, wiping her palms on the blanket. But something about the mirror held her attention. She got up, walked over to it, and examined it closely. The surface was slightly cloudy, the kind of age-worn glass that blurred at the edges. Her reflection looked normal until she tilted her head. Behind her shoulder, in the mirror's dim reflection, stood a girl, young, pale, hair soaked as if she'd just come in from the rain. Her eyes were wide and empty. Clara spun around. Again, no one. She turned over and faced the mirror. That's when she saw it. A figure, pale and still, standing in the reflection near the foot of her bed. Clara sat up with a gasp, heart hammering. She looked around. No one. The room was empty. She turned back to the mirror. Nothing now, just her own startled face and the edge of the bed behind her. "Get a grip," she muttered, wiping her palms on the blanket. But something about the mirror held her attention. She got up, walked over to it, and examined it closely. The surface was slightly cloudy, the kind of age-worn glass that blurred at the edges. Her reflection looked normal until she tilted her head. Behind her shoulder, in the mirror's dim reflection, stood a girl, young, pale, hair soaked as if she'd just come in from the rain. Her eyes were wide and empty. Clara spun around. Again, no one. She backed away from the mirror, breath catching in her throat. She grabbed her bag and reached for the door, only to hear the click of the doorknob turning on its own. The door creaked open. No one was there. Clara didn't wait. She bolted down to the front desk, nearly colliding with the innkeeper. "There's something wrong with the mirror in my room," Clara said, voice shaking. "I saw someone, a girl, in the reflection." The innkeeper sighed, her expression unreadable. "You're not the first. Room 207 has always been touched. Touched. What does that mean?" The old woman gestured for Clara to sit in one of the parlor chairs. Rain pelted the windows outside and thunder cracked above them. "Decades ago," the innkeeper began, "there was a girl named Lila. She lived here when it was still a boarding house. Her parents were caretakers. One stormy night, much like this, Lila went missing. Her body was found in the pond out back, drowned. Some say she fell, others aren't so sure." Clara swallowed. "And the mirror?" "It belonged to her," the woman said softly. "Hung in her room then, the same room you're in now. After her death, guests started seeing things. Her reflection, messages written in condensation, cold hands brushing their skin. Why keep the mirror? Some things don't like to be moved. A silence settled between them. The thunder outside grew louder. Clara didn't want to go back to that room, but she also didn't want to stay downstairs where the shadows danced and the wind moaned through the eaves. Reluctantly, she returned to 207. She avoided looking at the mirror as she crawled under the covers, but just as her eyes fluttered closed, a whisper floated through the room. "Help me." Her eyes snapped open. She turned toward the mirror. The glass was fogged, and across it, drawn in the condensation, were words. "Still here." Clara sat up, panic rising. She reached for her phone. No signal, no Wi-Fi. Even the lamp on the nightstand flickered, then went out. And then the whispering returned. Louder this time, a chorus of soft voices overlapping. "Don't leave. She's waiting. Still here." The mirror began to tremble on the wall, the frame creaking as if under strain. Clara stood frozen, breath shallow as the glass began to darken, turning black at the edges, like ink spilling across paper. Then a hand pressed against the inside of the mirror, small, pale, wet. It reached toward her, fingers splayed in desperation. And behind it, the girl. Her mouth moved, forming silent words. "Not alone." Clara felt a pull, emotional, almost gravitational. The air thickened, the room bending as though it were no longer bound by normal rules. She took a step forward, mesmerized, and then the hand slammed against the glass. Clara screamed. The spell broke. She turned and ran, stumbling down the hall, down the stairs, out the front door into the storm. Rain drenched her within seconds, but she didn't stop until she was back in her car, trembling, engines sputtering to life. She didn't look back. 3 days later, she got curious. She Googled the Briarwood Inn. It had burned down. Electrical fire, the article said. No casualties. Cause unknown. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. Scrolling further, she found a grainy photo from years ago. It showed a young girl in a white dress standing by the pond. The caption read, "Lila Baines, age 10, drowned in 1972. In the reflection of the pond, barely visible, was the edge of a mirror and a second face.